Hey everyone, I'm the storyteller, and I'm here to guide you into a night of eerie tales and deep sleep. I know you use this video to unwind, so before you drift off, tap that like button and subscribe for more chilling stories. Also, drop a comment, where are you from, and what time are you watching? Now, get cozy, relax, and let the stories take over. The Whispering Glade, a deep sleep story. Breathe in. Feel the night air, cool and crisp, filling your lungs with the scent of earth after rain. There is a stillness here, a hush that settles over the land like a soft embrace. And as you exhale, feel the weight of the day slipping from your shoulders. There is nowhere to be. Nothing to do. Only this moment. A silver moon hangs low in the sky, its light casting soft shadows upon the quiet earth. The world feels different beneath its glow, softer, dreamlike, as if suspended in time. The stars twinkle above, their gentle light watchful, whispering secrets that only the night understands. And there, standing at the edge of the ancient Eldoria forest, is Alara. She has always been drawn to the trees, always felt the pulse of something alive beneath their bark, a hum of quiet magic weaving through their roots. The villagers whisper of the forest, their voices hushed with warnings. The trees remember. The glade chooses. If you step beyond the veil, you may never return the same. Alara has heard these words since she was a child, but they have never frightened her. She knows the forest. She knows it calls to her. And tonight, beneath the quiet glow of the half-moon, the trees shift. They part, not violently, not with force, but gently, like the slow drawing of a curtain. And beyond them, a path appears. A path she has seen only in dreams. It glows faintly, as if dusted with silver, stretching deep into the hush of the trees. A shimmer lingers in the air, something unseen yet felt, like the quiet hum of a melody just beyond hearing. She hesitates, only for a breath. Then, drawn by something deeper than reason, she steps forward. The moment her foot touches the path, the air changes. It thickens, not oppressively, but as if she has passed through an invisible veil. The scent of the night deepens, rich, layered, filled with moss and damp earth, with the faintest trace of something sweet, like petals opening beneath the stars. The trees close behind her. Softly. Silently. Sealing the world behind, and opening the world ahead. The hush here is different. Not empty. Not lonely. But full. Full of something ancient, something waiting. The path winds deeper, and Alara moves slowly, her breath steady, her heart quiet. She feels no fear, only wonder, only the deep pull of something she cannot name. Each step is a lullaby. Each breath is a whisper. The night holds its secrets, but it does not rush to reveal them. A breeze stirs, cool against her skin, carrying with it the distant murmur of a stream. The sound is soft, patient, weaving through the hush of the trees. She follows it, letting it guide her deeper. Time shifts here. Slows. Dissolves. Minutes stretch into moments, moments stretch into eternity. The forest is vast, yet there is no sense of being lost. There is only the journey. And the journey is peace. The path meanders, curling like the roots that weave beneath it. Trees arch overhead, their branches interlacing to form a cathedral of quiet shadows and silver light. Alara lifts a hand, brushing her fingertips against the rough bark of an ancient tree. It is warm. Alive. It pulses beneath her touch, as if the very heart of the forest beats within it. She exhales slowly, allowing herself to sink into the rhythm of the woods. The rustle of the leaves. The trickle of water. The hush of the night. She walks. And the forest walks with her. Then. The air shifts. Not a warning. Not a threat. But a presence. Something unseen, watching. Not with eyes, but with knowing. She stops, listening. The wind moves, carrying whispers through the trees, voices too faint to grasp. They weave through the branches, curling around her ears like a lullaby sung in a language she does not yet understand. But she is not afraid. She listens. She breathes. She waits. And then, the path opens. And she stands, at the edge of the whispering glade. A place spoken of in hushed voices. A place of legend. A place that chooses. The glade is bathed in silver light, softer than moonlight, warmer than starlight. The very air hums with something unseen, something felt in the bones rather than the ears. Flowers bloom in luminescent hues, their petals shifting in the breeze like living silk. Fireflies drift lazily through the air, their glow pulsing in time with the deep, slow breath of the forest. And at the glade center, a pedestal stands. Old. Weathered. A sentinel of time itself. Upon its surface, shattered fragments. Pieces of something once whole. Elara steps forward, drawn by the quiet hum of power, by the pulse that echoes through her fingertips, through her very soul. The moonstone. A relic of the forest. A heart, broken. She exhales, reaching. And the moment she touches the first fragment, the glade breathes. A hush deeper than before. The wind stills. The fireflies freeze in place, their glow suspended in the dark. And then, a whisper. Soft, yet piercing. The keeper awakens. A ripple moves through the glade, unseen but felt, like the distant shudder of thunder beneath the earth. The air cools. The shadows lengthen. The silence deepens, thick as velvet, wrapping around her like unseen hands. And in the distance, beyond the trees, something shifts. Watching. Waiting. Listening. The whispering glade has chosen her. But is she blessed? Or is she cursed? Elara stands at the heart of the glade, the whispers weaving through her mind like distant echoes, like threads of silver mist curling through the trees. She exhales slowly. The world around her moves again, though gently, like the first stirrings of dawn. The trees sway, their branches creaking in soft murmurs, ancient voices stretching awake. The fireflies flicker, drifting in slow, lazy spirals. The wind returns in hushed sighs, as if the forest itself is breathing in time with her. The keeper is waiting. Elara feels its presence, not as something separate, not as something lurking in the shadows, but as part of the forest itself. A thing without form, without weight, yet vast, woven into the fabric of the glade, into the rustling of leaves, the shifting of light, the hum of unseen energy that pulses in the very ground beneath her feet. She does not yet understand what it wants. But she does not feel afraid. The moonstone fragments glimmer in her palm, cool and smooth against her skin, their edges softened as though by time itself. There is something within them, a memory, a voice, a quiet call that she can almost hear. She closes her eyes. The night wraps around her like a warm current, cradling her in stillness. The scents of the glade fill her senses, wild lavender, damp moss, the faintest trace of something sweet, like rain on petals. The air is thick with magic, not the kind she has read about in old tales, but something softer, deeper, woven into the land, into the hush of the forest, into the very breath of the night. And then, a sound. Faint. Distant. A chime, no louder than a drop of water slipping into a still pond. But it comes not from the glade, not from the world around her, but from within the fragments in her hand. A pulse of light stirs beneath her fingertips, slow and rhythmic, like the soft beat of a sleeping heart. She listens. The wind stirs through the trees, carrying something faint, something feather-light. A whisper, but not words, a feeling. A memory. It seeps through her skin, through her bones, unspooling like a forgotten dream. She does not see it with her eyes, but she feels it, images forming in the quiet depths of her mind, unfolding like petals in the moonlight. A great, towering stone, whole and unbroken, resting at the heart of the glade. A silver glow, steady and bright, pulsing in harmony with the forest, keeping the balance. And then, a shadow. Rising from the roots, curling through the air like ink spreading through water. Not sudden, not violent, but slow, patient, inevitable. The glow of the moonstone flickers, shudders, dims. A presence, vast and unseen, watching from the edges of the forest, its form just beyond knowing, just beyond sight. And then, a hand. Not hers. Not flesh. Something else. Something ancient, reaching, grasping. The moonstone shatters. The vision dissolves like mist, and Alara gasps, her eyes snapping open. The glade is unchanged, quiet, serene. The fragments still rest in her palm, cool and humming. But her pulse is quickened, her breath unsteady. She knows now. The balance was broken. And something broke it on purpose. The keeper is watching. Waiting. For her to understand. For her to act. The wind stirs through the trees again, curling around her like a whispered promise, like a hand guiding her forward. Alara tightens her grip on the fragments, pressing them to her chest. She does not know how, but she must restore the moonstone. She does not yet know what awaits her deeper in the forest, in the places where light has not touched in centuries. She does not yet know how the keeper will test her, or what secrets the trees have hidden in their roots. But she knows one thing. The glade chose her. And she will listen. She takes a breath, slow and steady, and steps beyond the edge of the glade, where the trees grow taller, where the path is unknown, where the whispers deepen. And the forest welcomes her home. Alara moves beyond the glade, her footsteps slow and measured, as if the earth itself is cradling her steps. The forest deepens around her, the trees stretching taller, their trunks thick with time, their roots curling deep beneath the earth like ancient veins. The air is different here. Cooler. Heavier. Not unwelcoming, no, just older. As if this place remembers more than it speaks. The whispers have quieted now, but they are not gone. They rest in the silence, waiting, watching, woven into the very breath of the trees. The wind barely stirs, yet Alara feels something moving all around her. A presence, unseen but felt, curling at the edges of her mind like the tide pulling at the shore. She does not resist it. Instead, she lets herself sink into the rhythm of the forest. Her breathing slows. Her heartbeat softens. Her senses open. She can feel the texture of the air as it brushes against her skin, thick and velvety, laced with the scent of damp moss and distant rain. The hush of leaves above her, shifting in unseen breezes, like fingertips brushing against silk. The distant hum of the earth, a low, steady pulse that seems to vibrate beneath her feet. She listens. To the quiet. To the way the silence is not empty, but full. To the way the night breathes with her, slow and steady, a presence she cannot see, but somehow knows. She steps forward. The path is less certain now. Not a clear trail, not a passage shaped by footsteps, but something softer, more fluid. The forest allows her passage, its branches parting just enough, its roots curving just so, its unseen forces guiding rather than leading. She lets herself follow. Not with logic. Not with thought. But with feeling. A path of instinct. A path whispered by something older than time itself. The moonstone fragments hum against her palm, a slow and steady pulse, like a sleeping heart just beginning to stir. And then, something shifts. Not a sound. Not a movement. A change in the air. Subtle, like the moment before a dream turns strange, like the flicker of a candle before it gutters out. A ripple. Like a breath held too long. The trees ahead seem thicker, darker, their trunks pressing close, their leaves woven so tightly that no moonlight can slip through. The hush of the forest deepens, the air growing cooler, tinged with something distant, something familiar, something that does not belong. And there, standing at the very edge of the darkened grove, waiting with patient stillness. A figure. Ilara's breath catches, her fingers tightening around the moonstone shards. The figure does not move. Nor does it breathe. It is cloaked in something that shifts, not fabric, not smoke, but something between the two, something weightless and restless, a darkness that curls and flickers, as if it does not quite belong to this world. Its face is hidden. But she feels its gaze. Not cold. Not hostile. Just, watching. Ilara exhales, slow and steady. The forest does not resist her presence. Nor does this being. She takes a step forward. The figure does not move. She does not know why, but she feels no fear. Only a quiet understanding. That this moment was always meant to happen. That this meeting was inevitable. She does not speak. The wind shifts, slow and gentle, curling between them like a thread pulled taut, like a question waiting for an answer. And then, a whisper. Not from the wind. Not from the trees. But from the figure itself. Soft. Almost delicate. Ilara. A name. Her name. Spoken with the weight of knowing. Spoken like it has been held for centuries. The air shivers. Ilara's heart beats once, slow and deep. She lifts her chin. And listens. Ilara stands in the hush of the forest, her breath steady, her pulse a quiet rhythm beneath her skin. The figure before her remains still, wrapped in shadows that do not belong to this world. The whisper of her name still lingers in the air, curling like mist, dissolving into the silence. The forest does not stir. The night waits. And so does she. She does not move. Not yet. Instead, she lets the stillness settle around her, a hush deeper than silence, a pause filled with something unseen. Something ancient. Something waiting. Her fingers rest against the moonstone shards, their cool surface pulsing with a faint glow, as if the stone itself recognizes what stands before her. Ilara. The whisper again, soft, careful, like a hand reaching across time. She exhales. Slow. Steady. And steps forward. The air between them shivers, delicate as a ripple across a still pond. The figure does not flinch. Does not shift. But something unseen unfolds, like a sigh, like the weight of an unseen presence settling into the moment. The shadows around the figure do not cling. They breathe. They stir, restless, shifting like smoke caught in moonlight. And then, a voice, quieter than the wind. You have come. Not a question. A knowing. A whisper meant for her, and her alone. Ilara watches. Waits. She does not answer. Not yet. Because the truth is, she does not know why she has come. Not fully. Only that the forest called her. Only that something deeper than thought, deeper than words, has pulled her to this moment. And now she is here. She searches the figure's face, only there is no face to see. Only shifting dark, like a veil between worlds. And yet, she can feel the gaze. Not cold. Not cruel. Just, waiting. A breath. Then, Ilara, the figure says again, this time softer, almost reverent. And with that one word, the forest shifts. A ripple, slow and deep, moving not through the air, but through the very fabric of the glade itself. The trees do not move, yet the space between them stretches, widens, deepens into something more. The shadows do not lengthen, yet they breathe, stirring at the edges of sight, curling at the edge of thought. And the ground beneath her feet feels less solid. Not unsteady. Not unsafe. Just lighter. As if she is standing on the edge of something vast, something unseen, something just beyond the veil of waking. A threshold. A moment between moments. She exhales. The moonstone shards pulse once, twice, like a heartbeat pressing against her palm. And the figure watches. Still. Waiting. For her to step forward. For her to choose. For her to speak. She does not know what will happen if she does. But she does know. This moment is not meant to last. The stillness is not meant to hold forever. And the forest itself, is listening. She takes another step. The hush around her deepens, thickens, wraps around her like a whispered secret. The moment stretches, unfurls, unspools like thread drawn through time. And then she speaks. Ilara speaks. And the forest breathes. Her voice is barely a whisper, yet the space around her listens, a hush deeper than silence, a pause that is not empty, but full. Full of something unseen. Full of something waiting. I have come, she says. And the moment shifts. Like a ripple across still water. Like a sigh passing through the leaves. The figure before her tilts its head, not much, just enough for the movement to be felt rather than seen. You hear the call, it murmurs. Not a question. A knowing. Ilara exhales. Slow. Deep. She does not know how to answer. Because she has heard something, a pull, a whisper, a song that is not a song, woven through the hush of the trees, threaded through the rustle of leaves, stitched into the hush between heartbeats. A voice that does not speak in words, but in knowing. In feeling. In the weight of a gaze unseen, pressing gently against the edges of thought. The moonstone pulses in her palm, its light not bright, not harsh, but gentle, a glow that does not cut through the darkness, but settles into it, nestles within it, soft as the hush of a dream. And the figure. It watches. Still. Silent. Waiting. The glade stretches around them, endless, timeless, as if the moment itself has slipped free of time's grasp. Ilara sways, just slightly. Not from fear. Not from exhaustion. But from something else. Something, weightless. As if she is standing at the edge of waking, at the threshold between what is and what was, and beyond that. What waits? The air shifts, wrapping around her in a way that is not quite wind, not quite touch, but something in between. Something felt in the quiet spaces of the soul. A whisper. A knowing. Ilara, the figure murmurs again, and this time. She feels the sound move through her. Not a voice. Not exactly. But a presence. A weight that is not heavy. A hush that is not empty. A call that is not a command, but an invitation. She shivers. Not from cold. Not from fear. But from the way the world itself seems to lean closer. She feels the trees behind her, not just standing, not just watching, but listening. She feels the earth beneath her, not just still, not just silent, but waiting. She feels the air around her, not just moving, not just whispering, but knowing. Knowing her. As if she is not just in the forest. As if she is of it. A part of it. A thread in something vast and endless, something that stretches beyond what can be seen, beyond what can be known. And the figure before her. It knows this too. Ilara. Her name again. Soft. Careful. Reverent. And this time, she understands. understands that the forest did not call her. It remembered her. And now, she must remember it. Elara does not move. The night stretches wide around her, still, weightless, endless. The figure before her does not shift, does not step forward, does not breathe. And yet, it is alive. Not in the way flesh and bone are alive, but in the way that the wind is alive. The way that the stars watch. The way that the hush before dawn waits. She feels it in the stillness, in the weight of the air, in the way the trees do not stir, but hold their breath as if listening. The moonstone in her palm pulses again. Once. Twice. A heartbeat not her own. Elara. The voice does not touch the air. It touches her. Moves through her, deep, slow, a presence settling into her ribs, curling around her spine, pressing against the space where thought meets dream. It does not demand. It does not push. It only is. She exhales. Soft. Steady. And takes another step forward. The hush thickens. The shadows stir, not moving, not stretching, but breathing. The glade shifts, not in shape, not in form, but in something deeper. Something beneath sight. Beneath knowing. A ripple that feels rather than shows. And the figure. It watches. Still. Silent. Waiting. She is close now. Close enough that the darkness around it is not just shadow, not just veil, but something more. Something woven. Not empty. Not void. But thick. Deep. Like night untouched by moonlight. Like the space between stars. Like the quiet that lingers at the edge of dreams. A hush that is not nothing. A hush that is full. A hush that remembers. And as she steps closer, as the moonstone glows brighter in her palm, she sees it. Not with her eyes. Not with thought. But with something deeper. Something older. She sees threads. Fine as mist. Delicate as breath. Weaving through the air, through the figure, through the forest itself. Threads of light, of shadow, of time itself, stretching beyond sight, beyond knowing. And she understands. This figure. It is not simply standing before her. It is woven into this place. It is part of the glade, part of the forest, part of something that stretches further than trees, further than sky, further than the reach of dawn. She breathes in. Slow. Deep. The scent of the forest fills her lungs, earth and mist, petals and stone, wind and memory. And the figure speaks again. A whisper of sound. A ripple of knowing. Elara. This time, she answers. Not with words. Not with thought. But with something deeper. She lets go. Lets the breath unravel from her chest. Lets the hush wrap around her. Lets herself become part of the stillness. And in that moment, the glade exhales. Not wind. Not movement. But something felt. A shift in the air. A weight lifting. A veil pulling back. And the figure before her. It does not move. But it changes. The threads shimmer, flickering, shifting. And for the first time, she sees. Not shadows. Not veils. Not the hush of something unseen. But eyes. Deep. Ancient. Not light. Not dark. But something between. Something before both. Something that has watched the turning of the stars, the whisper of the tides, the first breath of the wind. And those eyes. They look at her. Not through her. Not past her. But at her. And she knows. Knows without words. Knows without thought. Knows in the quiet place between heartbeats. She is not simply standing before the keeper. She is standing before the glade itself. And it has been waiting for her. The moment stretches. Long. Unbroken. Like a thread pulled taut, glimmering in the space between thought and dream. Elara does not move. The figure before her does not shift. And yet, everything changes. The glade is no longer just a place. It is no longer trees and soil and roots woven deep. It is breath. It is awareness. It is watching. Not with hunger. Not with judgment. But with something older. Something woven through time itself. Elara can feel it now, not just around her, but within her. A whisper threaded into her bones. A knowing, resting in the quiet space between her ribs. She inhales. Soft. Deep. The scent of damp earth, of silvered bark, of petals just beginning to open under the hush of moonlight. It fills her lungs. And as she exhales, the figure before her shifts. Not in movement. Not in form. But in presence. Like mist curling through the trees. Like dawn stirring at the edge of night. Like breath between one moment and the next. The threads woven through the glade pulse once. A shimmer. Faint, delicate, a ripple through the hush. And then, the figure steps forward. A movement so slow, so weightless, it is as though the air itself carries it. The hush deepens. The glade listens. Elara watches, her breath a quiet tide, her pulse an echo of something more. The figure is close now. Close enough that she can feel the whisper of its presence. A touch without touch. A knowing without words. And when it speaks, it is not sound. It is not voice. It is understanding, sinking into her skin like warmth. You have come. Elara does not answer with words. She cannot. Words do not belong in this hush, in this place where time does not move, where silence holds its own weight. Instead, she lets the moment stretch. Lets the quiet settle deep into her bones. Lets herself listen. And the glade. It breathes. Not wind. Not motion. But something deeper. Something beneath the surface of what is seen, what is known. A shift in the very fabric of the world. The moonstone in her palm warms, pulsing gently, a heartbeat against her skin. And the figure. It sees. Sees not just the stone. Not just Elara. But the threads that bind them. Threads of light. Threads of shadow. Threads woven through everything. The moonstone remembers. The words are not spoken. They are felt. Soft. Heavy. Like the hush before the first drop of rain. Elara exhales. The world holds its breath. And then, the figure lifts its hand. Slow. Weightless. A gesture of offering. A gesture of acceptance. Elara does not think. Does not question. She only moves. Reaching forward. Bridging the space between them. And as her fingers brush the outstretched palm, the glade shatters. Not in destruction. Not in chaos. But in awakening. A ripple of light spreads outward, silent, endless, weaving through the trees, through the roots, through the hush of night. And for the first time, Elara understands. The glade was never simply waiting. It was never simply watching. It was calling. And now, it knows her name. There is no rush. No urgency. Only the hush of a moment stretching endlessly. Elara's fingers rest lightly against the figure's palm, and in that single point of connection, something ancient stirs. Not a force. Not a presence. Something deeper. A memory that does not belong to her, and yet it is hers. It has always been hers. She feels it now, a whisper drifting through the marrow of her bones. Not words. Not images. But knowing. A forest untouched by shadow. A sky vast and endless, kissed by the glow of twin moons. A world where magic hums beneath every root, every leaf, every breath of wind. The glade remembers. And now, so does she. Elara closes her eyes. Not to shut out the world. Not to escape. But to listen. To feel. The warmth of the moonstone pulses against her palm, in perfect rhythm with the hush of her breath. Soft. Steady. Unbroken. Like a heartbeat woven through time itself. The figure before her does not move. And yet, she feels its presence everywhere. Not as a being. Not as a voice. But as the glade itself. As the trees. As the roots. As the air curling softly around her skin. A slow exhale. A shift in the silence. And then, a pulse of light. Not blinding. Not harsh. But gentle. Like the first rays of dawn slipping through mist. Like the hush of snowfall settling over the earth. It moves through her, through the ground, through the very air. A ripple spreading outward, weaving through the fabric of the forest. And with it, a name. Not spoken. Not heard. But known. Elara. It is not a question. Not a call. But an acknowledgement. She does not answer with words. She does not need to. Her breath is answer enough. Slow. Even. A tide pulling her deeper into stillness. The warmth of the moonstone spreads now, sinking into her fingers, her palm, her wrist. A soft glow wrapping around her like a whispered lullaby. She does not resist. Does not hold back. She simply lets go. Lets herself sink into the moment, into the hush, into the knowing that hums softly through the very air. And the glade. It hums with her. Breathing in the same rhythm. Soft. Steady. Timeless. The figure before her. Or within her. Or all around her. Moves at last. Not away. Not forward. But through her. Like wind. Like mist. Like a breath in the quiet of night. Elara inhales. Feels it drift through her. Feels herself become part of it. Not separate. Not other. But one. One with the hush. One with the glade. One with the whispers woven through every leaf, every root, every shimmer of light filtering through the trees. And in that stillness. In that moment between one breath and the next. She knows. She has always known. The moonstone was never simply a stone. The glade was never simply a place. And she was never simply Elara. She was called. She was chosen. Not by chance. Not by fate. But by something older. Something woven through the fabric of the world itself. A whisper that began long before her first breath. And will continue long after her last. Elara exhales. Soft. Gentle. A breath that carries the hush of the forest itself. And as it fades into the quiet of night, the glade breathes with her. A single moment. Stretching. Endless. Like a lullaby whispered by the trees. Like a secret carried on the wind. Like the hush of sleep, wrapping softly around the world. Elara does not move. There is no need. The air is soft around her, cradling her like unseen arms. The whisper of leaves, the distant call of a nightbird, the hush of wind curling through ancient trees, it all moves with her breath, in quiet harmony. A stillness unlike any other. Not the emptiness of silence. Not the waiting of an unfinished thought. But something whole. Complete. She stands, yet she drifts. She breathes, yet she is weightless. Not apart from the world. Not separate. But woven into it. The fabric of the forest hums softly, like a lullaby sung beneath the surface of waking thought. The glow of the moonstone lingers, not a flame, not a beacon, but a memory of light. A reminder. Of what was. Of what will always be. The glade does not whisper now. It sings. Not in words. Not in melody. But in being. The hush of trees stretching toward a starlit sky. The quiet lapping of water against mossy stone. The steady pulse of the earth beneath bare feet. A harmony older than time itself. Elara listens. Feels. Not with her ears, but with something deeper. A knowing. A belonging. The presence she once feared is no longer a shadow on the edges of her mind. It is here. Not darkness. Not threat. But guidance. A presence as old as the roots beneath her feet. The keeper. Not a name. Not a thing. A force. The balance of the forest. The breath between light and shadow. It was never a beast. Never a monster lurking in the depths. Only a story half forgotten. A whisper misheard. And she was meant to hear it clearly. To understand. To remember. The moonstone pulses softly in her palm, the final threads of its fractured magic weaving back together, knitting into something whole. Not broken. Not lost. But transformed. And so is she. Elara exhales, slow and steady, the breath of a dreamer on the edge of sleep. The glow fades. Not gone. Not diminished. But settled. Like embers resting beneath soft ash, waiting for the wind to stir them once more. She steps forward. Not toward anything. Not away. Simply with the glade. With the hush. With the breath of the world itself. The trees part. The path unfolds before her, stretching back toward the world she once knew. Soft moonlight spills over the trail, casting silver ribbons between the trees. She walks. Slow. Unrushed. The night moves with her, wrapping her in gentle quiet. The air cools. The whispers fade. The forest does not hold her back. It follows. In the hush of her breath. In the stillness of her step. In the warmth of the moonstone, no longer a relic, but a quiet pulse within her chest. A part of her. A piece of the story now written into her bones. She crosses the threshold. The glade fades behind her, the silver path melting into shadow. But it is not lost. It will never be lost. For the whispering glade does not choose carelessly. And those it calls, it never truly lets go. Elara breathes one final time. Soft. Deep. A breath that carries her beyond the waking world. Beyond thought. Beyond movement. The hush of the forest lingers. A presence in the air. A lullaby in the wind. A whisper in the quiet of dreams. Waiting. Always waiting. For the next soul it will call home. The voice fades now, stretching into silence. No conclusion. No sharp ending. Just stillness, dissolving into the hush of night, into the breath of sleep. The end, but not really.